Welcome to Rock That Relationship, a podcast about all things relationship with Corey and Tracy.
Now let's get real and start creating relationships that rock.
Welcome back to another season of Rock That Relationship. We are on season 13, all about soulmates. You know, we've been doing this podcast for a long time. I've been on a lot of podcasts lately, and it's funny because we actually have more episodes than most of the podcasts that I've actually been on. I mean,
really?
Do you feel like it's been like a fast journey, or you feel like we've been just podcasting forever?
I feel like both. I mean, I feel like it's a good thing, and like it's never stressful. You know, and it's doesn't also seem like, ugh, I don't want to do that anymore, or a slog, right. Or, you know what I mean? Like, it is interesting because it does feel fresh. I've been looking forward to it, you know, like I'm looking forward to doing this season. And so it's, but I also feel comfortable, like we should keep doing it. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, there's so much to say. I mean, we have things in the queue for a while, and this is such a fun season because we're doing a season on soulmates, which incidentally just happens to align with the launch of my book, The Soulmate Strategy, My Imperfect Plan to Conquer Heartbreak and Find True Love. It incidentally, but you know, ironically though, we've also been talking more about this subject, exploring a little bit more about soulmates, you and me, just outside of the book. And so picking this as our topic coincides with the book, but I don't think it was wholly informed by the fact that I'm releasing this book called The Soulmate Strategy.
No, I think it, right. It's a good marketing thing, obviously, for you, but also we talk about that all the time. And we do both have our soulmate. So it is timely in that way.
Exactly. Well, and that's how you and I usually pick topics, is like what's kind of going on in our worlds and just reflecting on it and saying, okay, we want to talk about that.
Right.
So cool. So we're going to do our episode today on soulmates. What are they? What are soulmates? And so we're going to talk about different kinds of soulmates, our experiences with different kinds of soulmates. There's a lot out there, and there's no real kind of agreed upon. There's 5 types or 10 types. I mean, you probably are going to find lists of various ones, but we're going to go through some of them just to talk about the differences, because there are some key differences between types of soulmates. So we'll hit on some of that today and talk a little bit about our experiences. So you ready for the ride today?
Yeah, but I'm not sure that I agree that there's more than one type, but that's my version. So we can talk about that as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's only one kind.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the different.
Try and convince me there are other types.
Well, I mean, I guess the idea is that soulmates is like a category. And then within that, there are different people show up for different reasons to connect with our souls. I think that's more of what I think most people are referring to. So like, let's talk about this first one, because this is probably one that, and I haven't heard of it labeled like this before, but it's called a soul partner. And so a soulmate, let's define a soulmate. Soulmate is someone that you're connected to, and you have a purpose for connecting with them in this lifetime. Maybe you've had previous lifetimes with them, or maybe you have a pact that you created and you're here to meet each other for some type of purpose. So that's the larger description. But a soul partner is someone that you agreed to partner with in this lifetime. So they can be, and because you have some type of task you need to do together. So it might be a partnership with someone that you've agreed to come into this life and be co-parents with, someone that you've agreed to come into this life and be business partners or best friends. You're going to open a business together. Tracy, you and I have talked a lot about kind of our soul connection. And I would say that we probably fit into this category quite well, that we've come into each other's lives. I think we've come into each other's lives for various purposes, but this is one of them is to do something, which is to raise each other up, but also to do things like create this podcast and venture into healing and helping things for other people.
Well, we were told, right, that came to this lifetime and we were told this by different people who don't know each other and who don't know us, right? Like, it's our first time going to people for the first time, that we came here to learn lessons together. And so we didn't meet until I was 50-ish or 51-ish, and you were in your late 40s. And so it's not like we have been doing this since we were kids. And I mean, soul partner, I can agree with. I feel like soulmate is more that I just reserve that for a romantic partner, you know, but like soul partner. I mean, all of the things that you're doing that like usually, no, I wouldn't say always. Like sometimes I'm behind you and sometimes you're behind me, like as far as what we're learning, but we always are doing kind of similar things at the same time. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is interesting. Like over the past couple, well, I don't know how long it's been, but since we found our soul mates, like romantic soulmates, which I believe that we both have, we're not as like, I'd say we're still the same amount of connected, but we're not having the daily kind of contact that we used to have. And we're also we're not having the same kind of interactions anymore. I think we still have the same relationship. We just don't have the same interactions because now that we've found the people that we know that we fit with, it's like we don't have to do all the processing that we used to do, all of the things that even got this podcast started. Just wondering, like, how can we do these things better? How can we have a better relationship with people? How can we have a better, you know, romantic relationship? And none of those things, you know, it was all very complicated all the time. And now it's very much less so.
Yep.
I mean, it's almost non-existent. We don't really talk about our soulmates because just like nothing, it would be boring. I think it'd be just like, everything's great, you know?
Right. With our romantic
Right.
partners. Well, yeah, and I agree. And if it weren't for sort of the chaos around when we met and all the speculating, we probably wouldn't have created this podcast. And I do think that you and I were destined in some way to help others through our words on this podcast for all the listeners around the world that are tuning in today. But I really think that we were called together. And if we had just, you know, kind of humdrum relationships that were on, you know, that were working great, we wouldn't have been speculating and ruminating and we wouldn't have had a reason to start this podcast. But now the impetus for doing the podcast feels a little bit different. It feels more insightful and informative rather than kind of.
It's not coming from a place of chaos anymore or angst or like, you know, how can I figure this out? How can I do this? Now it's just like we actually want to do it because we're talking about interesting things. And before, I think we were working through stuff ourselves. So I think we not only met so we could do this podcast, we met so we could help each other through, I think, some very difficult times that I know I had to get through. And I feel like last year, you know, when we went to LA, like you had a real breakthrough. And I don't think that would have happened with somebody else. And it was the first time I think you really let yourself like feel what you needed to feel. And you asked yourself the most essential question that then allowed you to, you know, break through on soulmate stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not being very clear, but
now, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, you know, it was interesting when we had our astrologer Bethany on. We've had her on the show, but we've also talked to her separately. And, you know, she did say that you and I, first of all, our charts look so similar. She kept getting them confused.
Right.
But secondly, and which means that we're going through a lot of lessons at the same time, which we already knew that. Like one of us is dealing with boundaries, the other one's been dealing with boundaries. One of us is dealing with creating inner peace, the other one's dealing with creating inner peace. And we don't come together and decide what we're going to focus on. We both just sort of internally manifest these things and then tell each other. And we're like, wow, we're going through the same thing. But Bethany also said that, you know, we would have some kind of business partnership and then it would be, you know, highly successful. And I don't know that it means like, you know, we're bringing in a lot of money, but just the impact that it would make. And I think that's the work that we've been doing in this heartbreak to healing space and that we'll continue to do. And so that's, again, the impetus for how it started certainly has evolved because at the beginning we were bringing on therapists and asking them questions. And then you and I would process for an hour afterwards through our own therapy from what the therapist said. And we're not having to do that anymore because we're in a different kind of headspace.
Yeah, well, that's very interesting because I just had a vision of what we're supposed to be doing going forward. But I'll save that for later, unless you want me to tell you now.
Save that for later, like off air, or are you going to put it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I just had a vision, right?
Well, tell me what your vision is. I mean, I'm sure everybody wants to know.
Well, okay. So I've been trying to write this one book for like 17 years, right? It's not a memoir. It's not anything like that. It's those mystery things, right? So now that I have my helper and ChatGPT and like actually it reads stuff for me and all that, like I'm working on that. I'm working back on that. And I think right now we're in a period where we've kind of we need to manage our own lives, not in a way that's bad, but we're like enjoying our personal lives so much that we haven't been doing that stuff. But I think we're going to come back together around books.
Mm-hmm.
In the future. And then we are going to have each our own path, and then we're going to do something together.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I just saw it.
You saw it.
Because we're doing things. We are doing really good, interesting things that people would like to know about, or that we can be helpful with them with their path. You know, we go to the book fair every year, and we go to these other people speaking, and it's like, you could do those talks, you know? I could do a lot of those talks.
Mm-hmm.
I think, you know, again, for me, confidence. So like, it's taking a long, like you're helpful with that, but it's taking longer than you thought it would. But I think that's just my path. Like confidence is always that's my weakest thing.
Mm-hmm.
I lack like confidence, you know?
Right. Well, and you'll have to do it in your own time as you've, figured it out. And
now you're distracted with something else. So you're not frustrated with my lack of accomplishing things, right? Like my best friend yesterday chewed me out. And then we had a long, very deep talk. And I, about my work situation. And she was very stressed out about it. And I'm like, but there's nothing that I want that I'm not having. So like, I don't have to do more. Like I'm here to enjoy this life. That's how I feel. Why would I work myself to death? So for what purpose? Like I came here to enjoy life and to find that person that I want to be with forever, and also to have everything. I always say like relationships are so important to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they ebb and they flow, and some have to go away and leave your life completely, and that's good. But like I see right now, you and I are doing our own things, but I just saw where we're going. But we need this time to do our own things right now.
Right. Well, we both have a lot going on with our own things right now. So
yeah,
it's kind of fortuitous.
It's perfect timing.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if I was in my situation and you with the kids and my wife, and then you didn't have your thing going on, and you would feel like, I don't know, either you'd have to come along with everything, and if it was the same, if I was like single and then you were doing all that, I would then be like feeling bereft, right?
Right.
So it's all happened at the same time, where we have our own things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then
I sound so like non-specific.
I know, but it's this idea that, right now, like we're still soul partners, but our connection never changes, but our interaction does based on what else is going on. And we end up creating and manifesting things that we get to independently live out. But our connection never fades or goes away. It just morphs and changes a little bit as we kind of come in and out of things. And so, at this point in time, we're doing the podcast, and maybe we'll do some other things.
But you're like doing your whole book thing, and I'm really not involved at all. I did tell you to write in the first place, but other than that, and reading some here and there, like this is your thing, but it is having an effect on me, right? But you're not seeing that because you're like out there doing your thing, but it's giving me the confidence. Okay, I could do this, it's going to be a totally different kind of book, but like I could do that. Why couldn't I?
Exactly. Why couldn't you?
Yeah. Why couldn't I?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's interesting. So when, we think about soul partners, as we often, can probably think of immediately someone that's come to mind, but you probably have several soul partners, people you have some type of a pact with to do something. I mean, obviously my ex, who's my daughter's other mother, we have some kind of soul partnership because we brought a child into this world and we co-parent her. And so we had some kind of a partnership to do that.
Yeah. I don't think that I have others. I mean, and I've gone through like past relationships with the Akashic reader, with the psychic and all that. And some were karmic relationships. So for me, I don't feel like I've had that. Like I've had very, very close friends, but I've never had this kind of thing that you and I have, where we are really like, I do think that we have really helped each other to
Mm-hmm.
realize our dreams and, to manifest these things. We met at a time, we both had just gone through pretty much exactly the same thing. The breakup of a 7-year relationship for you, breakup of a marriage of 8 years for me. That's when we met.
Yep.
And then we're able to do, I think our paths would have been different if we hadn't met.
Oh,
I don't feel like that.
Different. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't feel like that with anybody else in my life. You might have those people and you're a jumper and you're moving through these lives quickly, but I don't feel like that. Like,
No.
I have really close friendships, but I never felt like, oh, this person was supposed to help me.
Right. No, I agree with you. I think there's like levels or intensities of partnerships, or they're time bound. Like I said, having some type of a partnership with my ex. So we brought Casey into the world, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that that's a lasting partnership that feels like, we're destined to help each other. You and me, we've had a lot of past life connections. We've had a lot of, we have a lot of synchronicity in just our whole worlds, even though we are completely almost opposite people. And there's something,
and yet our charts are so similar.
Yeah.
We're like so different and so opposite.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting. So I think I got soul partnerships with other people, but they're not to the extent that I think I have with you. I continue to come back to, how we are so much in alignment with.
But I think you have a lot more of those things that I never had. Like, I don't have that. I mean, I think you felt that with your mother. I think you felt that, with that cat.
I was just going to say that's the second type of soulmate. I was actually going to bring that up.
The kitty.
Yeah, there's something called soul ties, which is where you have some type of an unexplained connection with. It happens with a person, like a fleeting person comes into your life and like does one thing and then leaves. They might say the right thing and they might be at a bus stop and say something to you, or a neighbor who helps you with something and then that totally changes your life. Or it could be a pet. A lot of times people are talking about pets. They come into your life for a reason. And I had my soul kitty, Phoenix, and everybody who knew Phoenix knew she was my soul kitty. Like, this cat picked me. I knew we were in each other's lives. She taught me a lot because, and I think I mentioned this one time on the podcast, but she died in October of 24. My mother died in September of 22. And I had some feelings of guilt that I didn't do as much as I could do to help my mom. But I know I did. Like, rationally, I did everything I could to be there with my mom and to help and advocate for her. But when it came time for my cat and she got sick, I sort of relived my mother's death through my cat and her sickness until she ended up dying. And I approached it a little differently. And I came to terms with the fact that how I was there for my mom was exactly what she needed and was exactly what I needed. But I almost needed to relive that through my cat in order to feel a sense of closure with my mom's death. And at the same time, I was grieving heavily about the death of my cat. So it was so much stuff with that soul tie was huge for me.
Yeah, like, Mao Mao, my cat used to have her Instagram and I loved her dearly, but I didn't feel like anything else other than I loved her. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't feel like there was something else there. And I haven't since she left. I've only felt like one time that she was around. That was the other night. I thought I saw her on the bed. It was my wife's feet. And then I smelled, this is gross, cat poo. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, it was a fleeting thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I feel like she's here. But that's it. One time in years. And I didn't, like, I've had so many pets, I've gone through a lot of pets. And so it's like, I've never felt that way except about my first dog, who has the same name as my wife. But like, that dog was so important to me.
Mm-hmm.
And people thought I was going to die when the dog died. And I mean, people were worried about me. Like, that was back when I lived in Seattle. And then, she died in Wyoming. But like, yeah, that I did feel very strongly about that dog. And I've had 4 dogs since, and the cat. And I had another cat I loved, but I never had that feeling. There was not like a soul connection kind of thing. And I do think, I think that's something to talk about. Like, it's like, do you have to make meaning out of every person who comes into your life? No. But, there was a time when I was walking down the street. I don't know if I was in law school at that point. I think I might have been. And I was just thinking to myself, like, how I really wanted to write about my police experience. And this man, this older black guy, came out of like nowhere. And I don't know if I said hi or whatever, just exchanged a pleasantry. I don't even know how this happened. Then he said, you should write a book. And then he was gone. Yeah.
Yeah, like he was supposed to come into your life.
Like maybe we had like a really brief conversation, but within that like 5-minute conversation, like that's what he said to me. Mm-hmm. And I've always thought of that. And that was like so random because, I talk to everybody. So it was like, it was interesting. It was an interesting thing that happened. And I always thought, well, that was like a sign. It's somebody telling me. And I do think from all the stuff I'm reading, I'm listening to that audiobook, The Light Between Us, that Laura Lynne something. And Jackson. And now I'm reading the Litany Burns book, which is the Develop Your Psychic Abilities. And she says in the Develop Your Psychic Abilities that everybody has this. They have it from birth, but people don't, it's not encouraged. They don't cultivate it. It's something that we think is weird or scary or whatever, or like so ridiculous, or, oh, you're so woo woo, or you're this or that. So people don't develop it, and I decided I am going to, it's time. I feel like that's where I am in my development.
Right. It's time. Well,
and had you not come along, that would never have happened.
Well, yeah, we went and did all of those kind of quote woo woo.
But I never would have done that before.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and I think part of it is, kind of being in touch with your intuition, being open to signs, but it's also this idea that, you see things that are there. We're taught to sort of, if it doesn't make sense in the rational world, to discount it, or, know, and so, looking at something like that soul tie that you had with that person who told you to write a book, you had some kind of a soul tie. That was like his only purpose in coming into your life was to tell you that. And if you weren't open to believing that, it would just be another conversation that was just kind of weird. But, we say weird, right? We talked about that. It's like, you can't explain it. So you're like, oh, well, if I can't explain it, then
weird.
It's weird. It's not real. But, we have these soul tie things all the time with people who just come in for, one thing, or say one thing, or do one thing, or serve one purpose, and then boom, they're gone. And, I remember, you've had, since I've known you, you've had a couple different relationships. And I remember there was one in particular where you had a massive learning lesson. You came to some great closure about some stuff. And so sometimes they aren't really productive. I've had friendships like that where it's like, ooh, this got really, really funky really fast. But then you look back and you say, okay, that person had a soul tie to me to teach me this.
Right.
And now they're gone. And I don't have to continue on with that. That's not a partnership.
Right. Well, that's the thing, that the relationship you're referencing, that one, like that helped me do a lot of closure about my parents, totally unrelated. No, there was no interaction. There was nothing, but the things that happened within that really helped me to then actually do the work I needed to do in therapy that I wouldn't have done otherwise.
Exactly. I mean, the relationship wasn't good.
Right.
There's nothing positive about the relationship in terms of your future romance, but what you went through because of that relationship made you a better person.
Yes. And it helped me to process things that I never had been able to really process or put to bed, which I did. That stuff is done. And like all my feelings about all these things, it really resolved it all. And I have so much less, probably no suffering about those things anymore at all. And it was through a terrible relationship. That's what helped me heal those things, right? Who would have thought?
Yeah. So it's like,
you kept asking me, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah, why are you in this? It's like,
I'm like, I just have to be.
I have to suffer here so I can suffer later so that I won't suffer again.
Yeah, but I didn't know that. What did I say? I'm like, I can't explain it. I just need to do this right now.
Exactly.
So sometimes people don't understand, and nor should they, because it's not their journey.
Exactly. Well, and that's the same thing with like intuition, right? Is like, you might rationally, someone, 10 people could tell you one thing and they're all in alignment, and you're like, I just don't feel it. There's something I'm supposed to be doing, or I'm supposed to stay here. I'm supposed to go here. And it's completely contrary to maybe rational belief of other people, but it's our own journeys. If you trust your intuition, it's usually not wrong. So,
Right.
let's talk about the third type, because I think these can all overlap, which I think is interesting. So you have soul partner and soul ties, and those are people or pets that come into our lives for a purpose. But some of them we've agreed, in theory, have agreed to, before we came into this life. But other ones are past life soulmates. They're people that we continue to agree to do these tasks with. So we show up over and over. So it's not like maybe you could have a soul partner that you've just met in this lifetime, but you've agreed to meet each other and do something together. But you can also have past life ones where you've been doing this for a long time.
What, like over and over?
Like over and over, like you and I have been told, we've had several past lives, and we are either really good at it and we want to keep coming back together, or we're really dense and we can't get the lessons we're supposed to learn, and so we get
or
set
are we
back.
learning different ones each time?
And maybe that's it too. Maybe it's like, okay, you two work well together, go and now learn this, and then
Well, that's interesting. I've actually been thinking a lot about that, because I've told you I do not want to come back to this crazy place. Like, the earth is insane. Like, I don't want to be here much longer. I think I want to be here till I'm 106 this time, but I don't want to come back. Like, if you and I have come back and we keep coming back and we keep doing these things, and we've been here since the early 1900s in various incarnations and probably before, like, I don't want to. So it's like, can we change that? Can we say that now, like what we want to do? And do we have any control over that? Or is somebody else up there deciding for us?
I don't know. I mean,
nobody knows.
If we learn what we're supposed to learn. I mean,
but are we only here to learn? I mean, we've talked about this because of All the Way to the River by Elizabeth Gilbert. She calls it Earth School. And that's what Laura Lynne Jackson is calling it too. Why do I keep getting her name wrong?
I don't know. It's a great book, though. I'm almost done with it.
Well, it is a great book. And the audiobook is good. I'm not sure if that's her who, is she the one who recorded it? I'm not sure if that's her voice, but every time I listen to that, I pick up something else. But do we have a choice? I'm not sure.
I don't know. On this earthbound choice, we could have a heavenly choice. I don't know, or whatever you want to call it in the cosmos or whatever. I have no idea.
Well, you should read that book Elsewhere. I didn't like it. It's a young adult novel. I shouldn't say I didn't like it, but I liked the book. The writing was good, but I didn't agree with the premise of what happened. I don't want to be a spoiler, but part of it is you die and then you age backwards from the age you're at, and then you basically come back to Earth once you get back to infancy. And I don't like that.
Oh, that's interesting.
I know. We'll read the book.
Premise.
Yeah, I don't like it. It bugged me. And then I watched 2 movies about life after death, and one of them was called Eternity on Apple.
The Eternity?
Have you seen it? No, just Eternity.
Oh, Eternity. No. I'm still catching up on Life After Life. You keep giving me lists of things to watch.
Life After Life is so good. But also freaky. I know, right? And then you start thinking about that. Is that really what's happening? So in some ways, I want to believe that what I want to happen is going to happen. Like, I don't know if I have any control over that, but like, you know how they say, oh, like certain religions, you'll be with your family in heaven, or you'll have this or that. And it's like, that's not what I want. I want to choose who I'm with.
Well, maybe that's a thing. We don't know, I guess, but
Well, that the eternity, they have to make a choice. And that was very upsetting to me. That movie really, really upset me. Really upset me, because she had a hard choice to make, the woman did. And it was upsetting. And I just wonder, it's like, well, if we're dead and we're going to be floating around up there, shouldn't it be easier than it is down here? I don't want to die and then I have to make harder choices than I had to make here. Like I feel like here it is like a school.
Yeah.
I do feel like it also feels like a giant obstacle course.
Yeah.
Like a crazy obstacle course. And like, how much can we give and how much can we care about what is happening around us, because there's so much happening around us that is so wrong and it is so out of our control, and that we don't even know it's happening,
Yeah.
with the release of all this information and all the things happening in the world. It's like, how could I have ever known that horrible things are happening, but yet I live here and I'm like on this earth, and it's like, what is my purpose here? I mean, I can't be shiny. I used to be a cop, and it's like, yeah, I tried to do the right thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now I try to be a good person, but it's like, oh my God, all around us is just this awfulness.
I know. Well, if you get to choose, then I hope it manifests the way you want. I'm going to keep coming back to the earth, and I want to keep learning.
I know
and learning
you're
and
so
learning.
into it.
I know. I want to learn over and over. I'm going
Why?
to keep coming back until I've kind of mastered it all, and then I'm going to go up and
What
be
does
some
that
kind
mean? Haven't you just mastered it all already? Like, what
No.
else do you need to master?
Every time I think I sort of got a handle on things, I'm like, oh, there's something drudged up, and I got to work on that. And so
feel
I'm
like
learning a
you've
lesson.
pretty much mastered, like, whatever you want, you get. I mean, you're not like, a multi-billionaire with a yacht, but do you need to be that? Like, I feel like the things that you said you want, you get.
Yeah, but those are material things. I'm thinking about the spiritual things, like, the sense of peace.
What, that you
and the
come
sense
as
of,
a baby and you have peace, like, right away?
well, if I
Like,
keep
you know
coming,
what I mean? If
I
you
don't
look at
know.
Buddhism, the monks are the only ones who achieve nirvana. And of course, the monks can only be men. So I am a Buddhist, but that does turn me off, right?
Yeah.
That only the monks, not the nuns, can achieve nirvana. And it's like, why? Because they sit there for 23 hours a day, and chant. Like, what is it? What is it that would make us achieve nirvana? And are you here? You want to keep coming back because you want to learn these things? Because I don't want to come back and spend 55 years like finding my soulmate again. I want us just to be up there floating around on a cloud.
I guess I like the thrill of the chase. I don't know.
There's something you like about it. Like, I'm making it clear right now, right here to the universe. I don't want that. I want to be at peace.
All right. Well, I will do my best to try not to talk you into coming back with me over and over. If you want to stay up there, I will respect your wishes.
You can just come and tell me what's happening. Now, how about we do that? You just come and visit in between each life and tell me, oh, that place hasn't gotten any better since you left the last time. It's still a giant dumpster fire. Where people bomb schools of children.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. Well, let's move on to the fourth type of soulmate, or the fourth kind of, one of these categories is karmic partner or karmic soulmate. These are people they're often called the wrecking ball soulmates. They come back as, they come back to teach us a lesson, and usually in a very short period of time, and usually in a just, wow, they knocked us right upside the head. It's not like a partnership where you're like, we're going to learn these lessons together. It's like whack you in the head and you're down and out, and then you learn something and you move on. We can have a number of karmic relationships in our life. They can be like romantic partners. They could be neighbors. They could be family members, coworkers. So do you have anybody that you have as a karmic partner, a past karmic partner, somebody that's come in and sort of knocked you down? This is different than the soul tie, I think, that you had with that other person. This is someone who, like, a karmic partner really just is there to, like, knock you over.
No, I don't know. But when I think about karmic partners in that way, I think of like domestic violence relationships. I don't know if that's, you know what I mean? That there's like no explanation for why that bad stuff would happen. Like, are those past life stuff being worked out? That's what I feel like.
Yeah. And they're all tied to each other because you somehow make some kind of karmic pact, right? Before you come. I think
that's really what's happening. Yeah. And
right.
Would you say, like, I want you to come and kill me in this relationship? But like, some of it's like not explainable.
Yeah.
I think it's like
anything with physical violence and abuse, I have a real hard time justifying karma for that.
But what would otherwise explain it? Especially when it's like you see these couples that, like, by all accounts, people thought they were fine and then they weren't.
Right.
It's like, what is happening there? Like, we can't explain it with just regular old, philosophy. I don't know, like psychology. I mean, looking at I don't know.
Well, here, let me give you an example. So I have a karmic partner, and the karmic partner is the person that I wrote about in this book, the Soulmate Strategy. And it was somebody who we had some kind of a karmic relationship. I was told by 3 different intuitives, 2 psychics and a shaman, that I had a karmic relationship with this person. We were supposed to be together for a relatively short time and that it would end badly, but that we had made an agreement before even coming to Earth that this was going to end so badly, not in an abusive way, not in anything harmful to me, but just so devastating, right? The grief of it and and all of that was going to be so heavy on me that the only way that I'd be able to cope was to actually write a book about it. And that,
do you think you agreed about that prior to getting here?
Yes. So this is what actually the shaman told me. And it makes total sense that we agreed that this would be so hurtful because I'd been in other relationships, even one that was longer than this. And I didn't feel the need to write a book about it. I didn't feel like is grief stricken. And so the whole thing is that I agreed that I needed to go through something so grief stricken like this, that I would write a book about it that would therefore go on to help other people heal. And the only way I would ever be compelled to write a book about something is if it hurt so bad that I felt like I needed to. And so the first 2 psychics told me, and I had just started writing the book, they said my karmic contract was not fulfilled. And I was like, oh no, am I going to come back and see this person again in another life to fulfill it? And they're like, I don't know, but it isn't fulfilled. So,
wait, that was before you started writing the book?
That was in December, and I started writing the book in November. So, I mean, I wasn't that far into it. And I didn't really even know fully that what was going to happen with the writing. And then I saw a shaman a few months ago, and the shaman said, you have a karmic partner, and told me the same story that the psychics did. And then went on to tell me your karmic pact was to get so devastated by this breakup that you would go on to write a book, and your book is going to help. It's going to help countless people. And she said, I want you to know that, the book at this point was pretty much like almost in print and everything. So it was going to happen. And she said, completing that book project, that is your karmic contract with this person. And you will not encounter them in another lifetime because you fulfilled that promise and you wrote this book. And now with the book, you're going to go on and help people. And that makes, and it was when she said that to me, I was like, that felt like it actually filled my soul in a way that answered a question that was sitting there. And I had a sense of peace with it that felt very intuitive, and I felt very connected to that. And so I truly believe that my karmic contract was to write this book. And you know that I've been on a rampage to write this book, and it has caused some ripple effects. And there have been many points at which it was like, should I stop out? Should I do something different? And I was like, no. I mean, I divulged my entire private life. I mean, I've taken a lot of risks by doing this book. And I kept saying, I am destined to help people with this book. And I was relentless about it. And now I understand why. This was a karmic contract well out of my control.
Well, isn't that interesting? I mean, I believe that, but it's like, well, if you made a contract with this person and they're like, okay, I'm going to come down and be a real jerk to you, then like, why couldn't you encounter that person again? Maybe not here on Earth, but like when you're both up there, it could be like, hey, thanks a lot. That really helped me.
Well, I might see them as a soul, but we won't come back to Earth together to finish this business. The business is finished.
I see. Okay, so what was supposed to be done that you guys agreed on has now been done. So that person, by their jerkiness, actually helped you. That's a good way to help people get through life. You look at, okay, well, their jerkiness really helped me. I mean, it's harder with tragedy, but
right. And abuse and violence. I don't condone any of that stuff. And I don't want to explain it away with it was meant to happen to you. That's not what I'm getting at. But I do think something like this I needed to be devastated enough to feel compelled to write a book that would then help people going through their own devastation.
But see, this is what causes, like, when you think about like, oh, the universe, they say it's ever expanding. Well, what is it expanding into? What was there before? Like, is it just nothingness? So if we have all these soul contracts and soul ties and things, like if we agreed to do that stuff, then it would have to explain all of the things that happen in the world.
I mean, maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean,
I hope there are answers when we die. That's all I have to say.
Well, you'll be up there longer than I will, because I'm going to get up there and be like, peace out, I'm going back down.
Why would you want to come back here?
Because I learn a lot.
Why?
I don't know. I just learn a lot.
You have to come back as an infant, number one. That's gross.
Well,
number two, I mean, I love babies, don't get me wrong, but I don't want to be one ever again. I've hit my wall.
Okay.
And
Noted.
so has
As your
my wife.
jumping partner.
Yeah.
Noted. Noted.
You can come visit us when we're up there.
Okay, I sure will. Well, let's move on to the next soulmate then, because I think this is what you're talking about, is a romantic soulmate. So we could have past life connections with them and have romance with them over and over. They could be someone we just met up there or wherever the cosmos are and agreed to come here and have this great romance, whatever it is. We have some kind of soul connection to them for a romance.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, that's what I've got.
Yeah. How do you know that you have that? What does it feel like?
It feels like the greatest thing ever. It feels like I'm exactly where I should be, I feel like it's like bathing in a like warm, like not necessarily gelatinous, but like a imagine yourself in a you're just moving around in like a, I don't know, warm orb of like love.
I thought you were going to say a Jello pit, but yes, warm orb of love sounds better.
I said it wasn't quite gelatinous. I said that.
I'm imagining like a child's play pool filled with Jello, but
no, like you're like I always feel in that bubble.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
I just know. And I just know, and she just knows, and we're exactly 100% on the same page. Mm-hmm. And there's no doubt, there's no question, there's no like we've started out with the podcast talking about, there's no need to process anything.
Right.
I don't need to talk about this relationship with anybody.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I just feel that this is it, that this is everything I've ever been looking for. And I couldn't want for anything more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I never want to lose that ever. As long as my soul exists, I don't want to lose it. So I don't want to have to come back here and find it again. Right. Like I want us just to be together.
I mean, that makes sense. If you feel like
Do you see things differently?
No, I mean, I see it
for yourself.
I see it the same way.
You feel that you've met your soulmate, right?
I do.
So does it feel different?
Oh, 100%.
Than what I'm saying?
100%.
No, different from what you've had in the past.
Oh, different than what I've had in the past is different. But yeah, but it feels, I mean, I've said this to her before and she said it back to me. I said, loving you is as easy as breathing. It just.
But do you feel like, is what I describe what you feel like? Like this is it.
Yeah, I mean, I have no doubts. I have no.
So why would you want to like break that up and come back to the shithole? Oh. Dumpster fire.
This dumpster.
Why would you want to come back?
Because then maybe we can
be floating up there.
We could find each other again. It's almost like being separated each with like half a medallion, and then you have to like spend the lifetime like a scavenger hunt, and you find each other.
Universe, I don't want to do that. I do not want to be separated. I just want to be together. Okay, see, you like these games. You're so into these like games. It's like everything you treat as a game. Making money is a game. Having jobs is a game. No. Universe, I do not want what Corey is saying.
I want the half a medallion scavenger hunt.
Yeah.
I do.
Hell no.
No, because here's the thing.
On a cloud floating around with her for the rest of eternity, and that's it.
Well, I want to find her earlier in my lifetime. But I am grateful
but still, you'd have to go through like, you still have to go through
all my learning. I have to go through all my development, all my
even if you met her again as like a teenager, you're supposed to go through all that like yuck. You just want to have the notebook from the time you were like 8.
Yes,
no,
I
16.
do. 16. I do.
I feel like no, I've made it. I made it to the promised land, and I don't want it taken away from me. I don't want to miss out on 1 minute ever. So I guess that's where we diverge.
That is where we feel the same way, but we both have different. I mean, here's the thing. My soul is going to be better if I keep coming back to earth and learning what I'm supposed to learn to make my soul better, so that when we are eventually in eternity, that my soul will be the best version of my soul that it can be. And if I
I
have
feel
to go
like
to Earth
I'm
to
already
keep
there.
learning that, see, I don't think I'm there. I've got a lot to learn.
Well, that's interesting. I feel like I'm already there. I'm a vegan, which is to me the highest form of human life. And I do feel like most things I do are for the benefit of everybody, myself and others included. So even though, I might make some mistakes or not be perfect, but like, I feel like I've already reached it. I've reached the promised land. I've gotten there.
All right.
And only death can cause ripples in that.
Wow. Well, I'm glad you're at the promised land. I am not quite yet. I know there's always more I need to learn, and I don't know what that is, but when I'm confronted with it, then I know. And every time I think,
what if you learn that in the next 50 years while you're here?
Then
let's redo this let's revisit this issue in 50 years on a golden anniversary podcast. Let's mark the day and let's make it a 50-year revisit, redux, and we'll see if you feel the same way. Because I don't know what else do you feel like you need to learn? Like,
I don't know, but sometimes I don't know what I need to learn until I'm confronted with it. I'm like, ooh, I thought I had that under wraps. And all of a sudden it's like dredging up something and then I have to deal with it.
You're just like one of those perfectionists who feel like everything's got to be done exactly right. See?
Well, no, it's just that I feel like
maybe what you need to get to is the fact that you can just embrace the fact that life is messy.
Oh, life is messy, but there's part of me that enjoys that to the extent that then I learn and transform and become a better person because of it. And I don't know that I'm at a point where I can say, yep, I'm done learning. I'm done transforming. I'm good. I got it. I always like to just be open to learning and transforming as things pop up.
Okay. I'm going to watch you from above.
I know you
good
are.
luck, sucker. That's all I have to say.
I know you
Anybody who would choose to come back to this insane asylum, we're just lucky. We just are fortunate in this life.
I know we are.
So many people aren't. I know. I count my blessings every single day that I wake up.
Exactly.
And even though I think we live in one of the ugliest places on earth.
Oh my gosh. Tucson, Arizona is beautiful.
I still find things to enjoy about it. The hiking and the blue skies and the birds on the cactus.
And the sunsets.
And the moon last night was like orange.
I know.
Like
awesome.
When it was setting this morning was crazy because I walked the dogs in the dark and it was like humongous. So that's the thing. I can still think I live in the ugliest place and yet still find the beauty.
Right.
But I want to be with my soulmate on the cloud forever, looking down. You can come visit.
Like I said, duly noted. I will not and peer pressure you to jump back down here with me. Okay, let's move on to the next one because this is a
next one.
Yeah, there's another one.
We're done.
No, we haven't talked about this one. This is twin flames. Twin flames is when you find the other half of yourself. And so it's interesting because it's basically you're like looking in a mirror and you're having to confront the things that maybe they're showing up in a way that you don't like, but they're showing up just like you show up. And so you're dealing with them. So that's twin flames. I've never had a twin flame moment. And I know some people will end up partnering with their twin flames and marrying them and being with them forever. And it's because they're sort of like a replication of themselves, but they end up being frustrated with things about their twin flame that really deeply they're frustrated about within themselves. Like, whatever the twin flame is, maybe self-centered, and they get upset with that, but then they realize that they're self-centered and that's really what they're upset with. And so what do you know about twin flames?
Well, I know quite a bit, but there's a lot of craziness around twin flames. That's crazy. Right. And so I did have a very strange connection with a person I should never otherwise have had. And it was like some words went in my head that do not pass this person by. And then that person, I think, had a lot to learn from me. And then when seeing that person and the way that person acted towards me, I said, that was the kind of crap I was doing to people before. And I don't ever want to do that again. And so that volatile little 6-month relationship, it viewed in the terms of twin flame because there was some crazy connection at first that drew us together, even though in a million years we should not have been together. Like what happened was, I think, she claimed to want to be to have the things that I was having and doing the things I was doing and having that kind of life better life for her. And when I looked at her and her behavior and the things that she did towards me, it made me realize I was doing some of that stuff to people, and it was it was destabilizing. It wasn't good. And so I'm not perfectly over that yet, almost, but like 90% gone. And having that, it was a mirror. It was a mirror to see, because there's no other reason that the two of us ever should have been together, but it was so helpful in seeing, I don't want to be like that. And so what was being done to me made me say, I'm not going to do that again. And so 90% I haven't. Like, I really did take that in. I really did learn that lesson. So I think, there's a lot of craziness about twin flames. There's documentaries, there's podcasts, and it's just searching for soulmate. But my experience, I don't view it as a soulmate, but really as a mirror. And again, like, to teach you a lesson, maybe not in exactly the same way as the soul tie or the karmic partner. And I think that's where this all gets like, it's like a twin flame, soulmate, karmic partner, that's a lot, right? So I think if you're open to that, you can see, okay, I can look at that and see, what did that teach me? If you view everything as a teaching thing, right?
Yep.
All that stuff. I do see the soulmate. In my opinion, the soulmate thing is perfection. Twin flame, I think, is meant to mirror something to you.
Right.
But that can be harsh. I mean, that can be a real difficult thing.
And that's why they're usually short-lived, because someone comes in sort of like they say, like a wrecking ball, and they show you parts of yourself that you still need to work on. And so again, they're all soul connected, because you somehow maybe made a pact with that person to do that at some point, so you can better yourself, because you're a better version of yourself because of this person, because what you saw in her was something you were like, oh, I'm doing some of that too. I don't want to do that anymore. And you actually became a better person. Now your soul tie with the other person we were talking about was not karmic. It was more that person came in your life to help you process through some family stuff that was completely unrelated. So they all sort of have a similar vein to them, right? Like, these people come into our worlds to help us transform and, learn lessons, right? But the purpose in which they serve is a little bit different, and some of them are more long-term. Like you and I, our soul partnership has lasted multiple lifetimes. There's, some, your romantic soulmate could be someone that you spend time on your cloud with, or your, play pool of jello or whatever you're doing, whatever. But the point is that these soulmates are people that we have some type of a connection beyond just, the everyday person that's in our lives.
So interesting. See, this could go on and on forever. I mean, that's the thing.
I know. And well, I'm excited about this season, because we're going to talk a lot about stuff related to soulmates and soulmate connection. And we have some great guests lined up. And I'm really excited to kind of dive more into this concept of soulmates, and particularly, why we have certain relationships with certain people, and why they come in and out of our lives when they do.
Well, I think that, in all of this that I've learned, the most important thing is, like, am I learning something from this? Is this getting me to my best and highest vibing place and happiness? If not, I need to be done. But I have to look at it and see, what did I learn? What was this meant to teach me? Right.
And maybe deciding that there's somebody that maybe you're friends with somebody, and they're not vibing with you. It's not bringing you to your best and highest place. Maybe the termination of that friendship is also what you're supposed to learn, to create boundaries and to love yourself. And so sometimes it's the relationship itself, and sometimes it's your decision to not continue in something that is also the learning. And so there's lots of things we can do. If we're open to it, we can see all of these as a way to help us grow and be our better selves and have stronger connections with people.
Yeah, it's not just, okay, I'm not going to say that. Some people think this is like devilish work and it's against God and all that. But honestly, I feel like the more that you get into this spiritual stuff, or the psychic stuff, the medium stuff, all that, it actually, I think, brings more of a closeness to God, aka the universe or whatever. And that these kind of controlling things on the earth, where people are using, God or whatever to control people, that's where people really need to look into themselves, because the more that I delve into this, the more peace I feel.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
Whereas if I look at the more traditional kind of religious stuff, I feel, oh my God, this is not good for my soul. Right. But this stuff, I feel so good for my soul.
Yeah, I do. I agree with you. I feel more at peace and more whole and more enlightened, kind of tapping into the spiritual element of my life in this world than in the universe than anything I've ever done. But, and that makes me a really spiritual person. I have a lot of faith in spirituality. It just isn't culminated in some kind of an organized religion.
And would you have described yourself that way prior to us meeting and starting down this journey?
Slightly, but not to this extent. I mean, not to this extent. I'm constantly tapping into intuition and looking at signs and, even getting, people to help with tarot cards and past life regression stuff. So no, I wouldn't. I've definitely stepped it up.
I have stepped it up, and it's been so helpful. And I feel way more at peace.
I would agree. And the validation I feel, and I just feel more connected to myself, actually. I trust myself more, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this has been a scintillating conversation as we start off our season all about soulmates, talking about what they are and all sorts of really great topics related to them. But until our next episode, go out there and rock those relationships. If you liked what you heard, check out our show notes for resources from today's episode. Make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram under Rock That Relationship, and go to our website at rockthatrelationship.com for updated episodes and more great information.
Thanks for listening. Now go rock those relationships.